We're going to just do a real brief introductions right up here, and then we'll just kind of jump on in if that's okay. So I'm Nathan Burkart, I'm the Executive Director at JPAC, and this is John Westphal. John, you want to give a little breakdown about yourself at all, or you good?
A little breakdown of my talk?
Yeah, or you can, your talk and who you are.
I'm John Westphal. I've been involved in a lot of fundraising and a lot of nonprofit organizations. Paul Murphy and I raised $80,000 for a one-day town square bike race. I'm on a group with Sabrina. We're going to raise $7 to $8 million to build a children's museum. I was one of 3 people that founded JPAC back 20-some years ago, so I have a lot of experience in this, and so far successful. So,
cool. Thanks, John. And as far as JPAC's concerned, as far as sponsorship and fundraising, we get over $100,000 worth of sponsorship annually, and then our small donor campaigns go above $50,000 to $60,000 per year, depending on the year. So we'll get into that a little bit, but I know John's got a presentation around the Gran Prix to kind of give you an idea about that. I've got a couple things I can show you about JPAC, and then we can open up for some questions.
okay, how long? Yep, so it's like we split in the time, kind of 50-50?
Yeah,
all right.
fine.
Okay, I'll go quick. You're going to get these handouts. You're going to get this PowerPoint. So you don't have to take notes if you don't want. Here's the main points. The first thing you got to do is make an expense budget. I'm talking about an event now, a one-day event. When you do an expense budget, go into real detail. Think of everything you can possibly think of. I mean, down to cups, down to if you're going to give out wristbands, what the wristbands cost. I mean, everything. Get somebody else to help you and think about it, and give it a couple weeks so that you can sleep on it. Oh yeah, I forgot this. Think about everything you possibly can. A lump sum amount, or quantity times price each, extend it out. Go into great detail because you need to know how much you're going to raise. But the first thing you need to know is how much you're going to spend. Okay, that's the very first thing. The second thing is figure out how much you need to raise. Duh. Think about all of the different things that you can sell or that you could earmark to raise funds off of, and do the exact same game on your revenue budget that you did on your expense budget. Then WIFM, it stands for what's in it for me. You have to think about this from your sponsor or somebody who's going to give you money. What's in it for me? Think of it from their perspective. Why do they want to give? And there's all sorts of things across the spectrum when we can talk about that, but that's maybe the most important part of this. Then you target your sponsors or your donors or the people that you're gonna ask for funds from. You target them. You think about it and you make a list of them. You write them all down. Do a spreadsheet. Everybody you can possibly think of. Then you sort them. Sort them whatever makes sense for you. Sort them by the kind of thing they'd like to pay for, maybe, or by how much they're going to give, whatever. Sort them so that you have a game plan, okay? Then you execute your strategy where you go and solicit and you go ask for the money, okay? And you guys, you can jump in. I don't have to lecture if you got questions as we go. So you can't really see this, but I'm saying over there's a spreadsheet, and this is an expense budget which says what I just said, as much detail as you can. And see, this is for our town square Grand Prix. And this is, these are pace car magnetic signs, printing, registration forms, dasher boards, signs, other kind of signs, speaker signs, t-shirts, banners, blah, 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 blah. I know how many. I know how much I'm going to pay for them. So I lay that out in great detail. Here's a revenue budget. This is like everything, I'm using this as for the town square Grand Prix. This is everything that we raise money on. How many of them we have to sell, what the inventory is, what the item is, how much it costs for each of them. Just to read some of these, this says pace car, 2 of them at $500 each. Bell ringer, 2 of them at $1,000 each. Kids roll, 1 of them at $1,500. Kids zone, one at $2,000. See, I laid that all out. So I do my expense budget first, and I realize we're gonna cost this much. So now I gotta put this thing together and then figure out, oh crap, I don't have enough stuff to sell. What more can we add, or can I raise the price on something, or can I sell more of one thing or another, right? I mean, this isn't complicated. You know all these things. I'm just saying you gotta make the effort. Don't wing it, or you're gonna lose. Don't wing it. Whoops.
And I think it's important for everyone to know this is a plan. This is a plan. It's like I have a lot of people that say, well, I can't put a budget together because I don't know what those numbers are. Of course you don't know what those numbers are, especially if it's the first time that you're doing it. What's important is that you have targets, right? Some of these are going to be higher, some of them are going to be lower. But what you ultimately need to know is have an idea of a plan and how you're going to get there. And so...
Yeah. Now I'm talking about a capital campaign. But we should talk about that, or is this is more events, right? On a capital campaign, so we're going to build JPAC, let's say. Okay, how are we going to do this? And so along the same lines, this is kind of like a revenue budget. This says gift size, percent of the total, number of gifts needed, number of prospects, the subtotal, the cumulative stuff like that. So then you think about laying this out, like, how much money you got to raise to build the Janesville Performing Arts Center? And what are the big gifts that make the most sense? And this is called pyramid, a fundraising pyramid. There's fundamentals to a fundraising pyramid. It's as different than in a one-day event because the menu of things that you can sell or that a donor can get are different than a one-day event. But I'm just saying the fundamentals are the same in both of them, except the capital campaign, of course, is bigger and you need a bigger group of people to help you. What's in it for me? I'm going to just read it because you can't see it. Sponsors are like customers. Think of them like customers. Give them opportunities to purchase what they want or what they can afford. And one size fits all does not work all the time. Here's an example. I haven't ever been to Flannel Fest, but you know a lot of people have, right? So it's a party, and mostly it's one size, one price, right? Except don't you get into a room or a building or a tent if you pay more? That's a great idea, right? But for one size fits all, let me slow down a second. If your fundraising is selling tickets to drink beer, that's one thing. What if people don't show up because the weather's bad? And you have all these expenses, and you're going to lose unless you're going to underwrite the loss, which you're probably not. You need to probably have a sponsor, or it's going to help you promote this, so that at least you can cover your costs or get close to it if this thing goes bust, if it goes bust. So if you're going to have something like Flannel Fest, and you want somebody to give you $1,000, at least to take the edge off if it was a hurricane or something, what should you give that person? Should it be their name on a beer cup? Should they get big, huge banners that it's the Flannel Fest sponsored by Paul Murphy and his brother or something like that, right? You got to think that stuff through and think what your customer wants and try to give them what they want. To just want to say, I need Flannel Fest. Can you guys give me some money? How much? Well, as much as you can give. That isn't going to work. So if you're selling stuff like wristbands or tickets come in to drink beer, that's one thing, but you should also differentiate that. You want to spend $50, you get into Old Town Mall and can drink inside and go to a bathroom inside and it's warm. For $35, you're outside, right? Stuff like that. Here's another idea. Something like a flannel for an event, a one-day event. If you need, let's say, 24, or if you need $20 from somebody to cover your expense, set the price at 24. Okay? Or let me make it easier, make the math easier. Set it at 34. If it's $34 to get in, I'm going to come in and say, yeah, I'm on $6 a change, right? But really, they're going to give you two 20s. And you're going to get $40 because they know it's a fundraiser. So think about your pricing and see if you can't make a little more margin by adding a little bit to that. Don't round it off at like a $20 bill. That's all you'll ever get. If you make it 25, you'll probably get 25, but you might get 30 if somebody doesn't have a 5. If you make it 28, you're going to get $30. If you make it 34, you're going to get 40 bucks. See what I mean? That's just something to think about of creative pricing. So ideas for sponsor fulfillment, participation in your event. Give them participation in your event. You're going to have a run, have them be the starter. Shoot the starter gun off. Or the announcement. I'm Nathan Burkart from JPAC. Thanks for coming to our fundraiser, our fun run here. Let them participate. Another idea, a tangible item. Give them naming rights, okay? The Engen Fun Run or something. You know, it's the Burt Blaine Heart Walk. Give them naming rights if it's a big enough check. How much should you pay for naming rights? 50 to 100% naming rights.
This room's a really good example of that. This is the Hendricks Family Foundation Education Outreach Center. And in order to accomplish that, A, you figure out what the Hendricks Family Foundation cares about, and B, you look at how much money you need. And that'll give you a good opportunity to go to somebody and say, hey, we want to build this out, fits your vision, fits your mission this way. This is how many people we're planning to impact with it, and get them on board that way.
Yeah, the next thing, that's good. Next one, got responsibility for acquiring a capital item. Hey, we're building that, what do you call the room over there they're in?
The gallery theater.
We're in the gallery, okay? But we're going to have small recitals in there. We're going to buy a grand piano. We need you to spend the 100,000 bucks.
Yeah, probably for a grand. Yeah.
We need a grand piano. It's going to be the Hendricks grand piano. You're responsible for, we need you to give us the grand piano, it'll top it off. So they're responsible for a major capital item that, in effect, they have their name on. Or recognition, name on a donor board, a listing in a program, corporate logo, give them that all the time. And then a benefit, give them an invitation to an exclusive event. You do that at JPAC all the time. Hey, you get to get backstage and shake Tony Bennett's hand. Really? Give us $1,000, I'll have you get your picture taken with him. Stuff like that, right? Or inside info. People always love inside info of what's going on. Oh, I have the real inside skinny of what's happening with, you know, fill in the blanks. And they'll pay for that. We'll put you on our newsletter. We'll do that. You can attend these meetings, da-da-da-da-da-da. You're kind of getting them on the inside. They'll pay more for that. That's one of the benefits. This is all about what's in it for me, okay? And this is just targeting and sorting people, putting names by companies on a capital campaign or people's names. And then make the ask. Consider who your donor is. Consider that what their expectation is, okay? If you're talking to Diane Hendricks, you guys all know who she is. Her expectation is she wants her name on the building, okay? Then you better go in preparing to ask her for the $2 million. I'll put your name on the building, Mrs. Hendricks. I need $2 million. She's a billionaire. She's expecting you to say that. You should.
But what you also need to know is that if you're going to go make an ask on that, who else is helping you out? How much money you totally need to raise, and have a plan when you go in. Because someone of you're asking that size wants to know that there's other community investment in it, or at least you have an idea of who else is going to come and partner with you. So that's always extremely important. And everybody's different. So it's not terrible for you to call up that foundation and say, hey, look, we're planning to make an ask. Are you the type of person that wants to solely benefit it, or would you like to see who else is on our list for community support?
Yeah, absolutely. And kind of in order of how you should make the ask. Think about this. If you're going to go ask somebody to give you $100,000 for a grand piano, do you think they want an email or a postcard or a phone call, right? You want to sit down and talk to them, and you got to always tell the truth. You'll always tell the truth. They know why you're coming. They wouldn't take the meeting if they didn't know you're going to ask them for money. They don't necessarily know how much unless you got to telegraph it to them. I want to talk to you about the grand piano. They're Googling going, oh, dude, they're going to ask for you $100 large. Yep. But they're still taking the meeting. You do that in person. But if you're having the general grassroots thing, I mean, that can be a thing in the paper, or that can be a thing on Facebook. You know, if you're asking for $100 from somebody or stuff like that, right?
And at JPAC, we do it all. I mean, we've got the small grassroots target, because we want to be inclusive and accessible to everybody, right? Somebody that can give $50 as $75 in their bank account is a lot for them. And they're important too. But at the same time, you're targeting a lot more of those people, and so what you're able to do is different. And so what we do at JPAC is we target those campaigns, and they're always on a percentage of what our budget is for the year. So when we scale, those numbers and those expectations go up. JPAC had a $500,000 budget, we have a $50,000 small giving goal. But if we had $1 million budget, that goal's $100,000. It's 10%. And so, but then what we also do is like, know who your target, know who's making the ask. Blaine Gilbertson's on my board of directors. She makes asks for me because there's people that she knows that she's already built a nice relationship with. And I know not everybody's got Jane Gilbertson on your board, but at the same time, who do you spend money with? You know, who do you go out to eat? Where do you go out to eat? You know, these are the people that you know already. It makes those asks easier. So when you sit down, it's like, hey, I've got something I want to give and do. Like, they might want something in return, but they also want to feel like they're investing in you. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. And, yeah.
When you finish, I just...
Oh, talking about a capital campaign, I mean, you guys, we could talk for hours or days about how you put a fundraising pyramid together and do a capital campaign, which Nathan's touching on a little bit. So I don't want to blow over that too fast, but we couldn't cover it here in 15 or 20 minutes. If you want to know more about that, study it. And I'm always here. I'm happy to talk to any nonprofit. This is my hometown, you guys. I'm happy to help. But what I wanted to say is you might want to customize your ask for the donor. So, for example, I was on a group of people. We raised money for both high schools for weight rooms, to outfit the weight rooms when we put the big additions on Parker and Craig. And I was one of the handful of people that went to raise funds. And here's what worked. What's your name?
Andy Snow.
What's your last name?
Snow.
Hey, okay, Westphal. Yeah, I hear you. We say we need weight rooms. How much did Snow give? How much did he give? Can you tell me? Yeah, he's in for $30,000. Dang it. Dang it. All right, put me down for $30,000. Sometimes your donors want to know. They want to see how they fit. And they know where they fit in the wealth universe. So they'll ask, well, how much did Snow give? Well, he said, Andy authorized it, I can tell you, $30,000. Oh, dang it. Things must be going good for Andy. Well, I can do 25. All right, I can do 25. So, or other times, they want birds of a feather want to flock together. So maybe, people in the same kind of dollar grouping, and maybe you're going to have a dinner or lunch for them at the country club for 8 of them. You're going to sit down with 8 of them. You're paying for lunch, and you're going to lay this out with a bunch of audio-visual stuff because you're asking them all for like $100,000. That's kind of an exclusive thing. So the higher you go, money, the more you got to target and be personal. The lower you go, you can be more, just a public ask. I'm going to say this, and then I'll shut up.
Yeah.
Don't ever lie. Always tell the truth, always. If you don't know, say, I don't know. Always just tell the truth and you're there for a reason. You want to raise the funds because you believe in this organization or this event. Let that show. Tell them. They might think your idea sucks. Okay, whatever. But if they know you're fired up, go ahead, I'm done.
One of the things, now...
Sorry,
now
Nathan,
let's
I
go
just
back
get
down
it.
to-
Put a
let's go
quarter
back
in.
down to earth. John works with the Billionaires Boys Club. I work in the coffee shop. But anyway, no, when we started the Grand Prix back in 2018, we had less than 6 months and we raised...
$62,000.
One of the things we found, both of us were working the streets asking people for money. The what's in it for me, a number of people said, what am I going to get out of it? John put together a matrix. You're going to give $10,200, you're going to get all these benefits. Number one thing that they said is, we're going to be watching because we make donations to different activities and organizations, and we never get what we're promised. That happened. We won. We found out what people did in the past. We put together a real solid plan, and there are companies that call us like the day after the event, and we have to show them proof what services they got. We have to show them cut sheets from the newspaper.
pictures of their banners,
And
stuff like that.
We had an opportunity to get a sponsorship from Toyota Motors. But Toyota Motors wasn't gonna pay us till 60 days after the event because they wanted confirmation that the commitment they gave us, they got the benefits before they paid us. And we couldn't do that because we're in zero-sum game.
Yeah.
We collect $80,000, we might keep $4,000 for a little seed money for next year. We're a non-financial game.
And just so you guys know, in the past, I've messed this up when I started here. Like, there's no such thing as over-communicating what you're doing for your sponsors and that. There were some that I had that wanted more communication and I just didn't know. And they pulled out and they're like, hey, yeah, we just didn't hear enough from you. So what I did is I went and met with them and said, okay, what do I need to do to make this right to you? And then I do that for everybody now. That's my main sponsors and stuff like that. Send them videos of stuff that we're producing here and so they can see it. Like quarterly check-ins on what we're doing. That's all part of it. And also, I spend money with people that work with me and sponsor us. So if you're an organization that's got money like JPAC does, you know, if they're sponsoring me, guess who I'm going out? If Lark is sponsoring me, I take my company to Lark for dinner. You know, we've used Westphal quite a bit for electric here because John supported us over the years. It's a partnership, and you're in it together, and that's how this all works. So.
Cool.